Hello everybody and welcome to my video. In this video I'm going to be exposing a cover-up by the Tennessee Department of Children's Services by those under the command of the Commissioner for Children's Services, Miss Jennifer Nichols. This situation is happening right now and I feel duty bound to expose this cover-up and let the public know the real skullduggeries that goes on in your department. This has really upset me. I tried to record this earlier and when I started recording I just broke down in tears. It's not fair for me to bring my emotions into the situation because that's not what it's about. So I just wanted to compose myself and give this situation the voice it deserves. This is about two little boys aged 1 and 2 who were removed from the family home into foster care in Knoxville, Tennessee. In August this year, the two brothers, named Landon and Trenton, were brought into daycare by their foster carer. And the daycare workers were horrified at the injuries that were sustained to the children, in particular Landon, the 2-year-old little boy. Members of staff at the daycare called CPS immediately, and the CPS worker attends the daycare establishment. The CPS worker makes an assessment of the injuries and decides that she's not going to take any action and instructs the daycare establishment to hand the children back to the said foster carer. As you can see, the injuries to Landon are horrific and were completely ignored by the CPS worker. It's just unspeakable. I'm just struggling here. If this isn't wrong on every single level, well, I don't know what is. How can anybody do this to a child or just 2-year-old child is just confusing me, completely confusing me. Even worse, how can a CPS worker decide that this is okay and send these two babies back to the same foster carer that inflicted the injuries? I can't even begin to imagine how frightened these two little boys were or what they've had to endure. Just remember, they can't speak, so God only knows what they've been through with this foster carer. You'd have to be inhumane to think that there's something not wrong here. Department of Children's Services hid all this from the biological family of Landon and Trenton. They're covering it up. They don't want anyone to know about this, and they certainly don't want me talking about this. And I'm sure Jennifer Nichols, the Commissioner for Tennessee Department of Children's Services, would rather I go away, but I'm not going anywhere. This is just the start. I'm going to expose all the incompetencies that I find against your department. 2 months later, Landon's younger brother, 1-year-old Trenton, is in hospital fighting for his life, suffering from a serious brain injury while in the custody of the said foster carer. Jennifer Nichols, I've got many questions for you. Why are you covering this up? I know you know about this case. There's a child currently in hospital fighting for his life under your watch. You have a legal obligation to protect these children. But instead of protecting the children, your department allowed continual abuse of these two boys while in foster care. Your department is not fit for purpose. Your department is incompetent. Do you really think that in a case so horrific that you're going to get away with no accountability to the injuries inflicted on these two children? Because you're not. I'm going to have a word with you, Miss Nichols, woman to woman. Now, I know that you have a background of many, many years in the District Attorney's Office in Shelby, working as a prosecutor, prosecuting these kind of cases, bringing justice to families and children who have been abused. And after many years as a prosecutor, you became a judge for Shelby Criminal Court. And I've looked into the work that you did as a judge, and you did some good work. You sent a child abuser away for 35 years. Well done. So what's happened now? Your motivations have completely changed since you've become Commissioner for Children's Services of Tennessee. You no longer seem to have any motivation to prosecute anybody under your watch who abuses children. Why is that? You have a stellar work record with the District Attorney's Office for many, many years. And then you got promoted to a judge for a few months. And if I'm correct, you got elected out. And then within a few months of that, you're the Commissioner of Children's Services. You specialised as a prosecutor in cases of abuse against children. But that does not qualify you to then take the role of Commissioner of Children's Services. And I say that because you're clearly not coming to the table with a clean heart. Because if you were, you wouldn't allow abuse to go unprosecuted. Because inherently, as a prosecutor, you would want justice to be served for any child who suffers from abuse. But you've lost your way. Your motivations have changed. Now, there would have been no shame to going back to the District Attorney's Office after losing your seat as a judge. No shame in that at all. You were doing great work there, and I think that's where you're best placed, back in the DA's office. Because you're failing the children of Tennessee. And your motivations are financially motivated and politically motivated. And I can prove that, and I will prove that. I've put the pieces together, Miss Nichols, and what you've really been tasked to do as the Commissioner of Children's Services. And it certainly is not to protect the children of Tennessee. But you hide behind a veil of confidentiality and think you can get away with it. From the research I've been doing, it seems to me that you're trying to create a legacy for Tennessee Department of Children's Services of being the flagship state, providing the rest of the country with a blueprint for foster care, adoption services. All you do on your Twitter page is plug foster care and adoption, with exception of a few PR bits and pieces that make your department look good. So I understand that you don't want truth and reality to tarnish that image of what you've really been placed in children's services to do. I mean, you didn't get paid $190,742 last year for nothing, did you? You certainly weren't paid that to stamp out incompetency, misconduct or corruption within your department. You're a mother, you're a grandmother. Can you not look at those pictures of Landon and Trenton, feel the pain of the family? If that was your granddaughter, wouldn't you want answers? I'm sure you'd be fighting for justice. I'm sure you'd want the people who did this to your granddaughter to go to prison for a very long time. I'm sure if a CPS worker allowed your granddaughter back to the foster carers who were abusing her, you would want justice to be served. So just do the right thing, please. This is not about your blood money to push fostering and adoption in Tennessee. Hand Landon over to his auntie now. Give him back to his family. Imagine having to see pictures of your granddaughter with injuries like that and being held back from her, not knowing where she is, what's happening to her, being stonewalled. I can't even begin to imagine the nightmare that this family are going through. And believe you me, Miss Nichols, you're not going to get away with this. There's no way that you're not going to be sued for this. Your department is going to be dragged through the courts for this because it's the right thing to do. You are going to be held accountable for this. Whoever's watching this video, just please share it. Share it out. Let everyone see what's going on. There's power in numbers. There's power in people coming together and being made aware of these things happening. The only way we can stop this from happening is just facing the truth and reality of what's really going on and not being fooled by the image that Miss Jennifer Nichols is trying to portray of Tennessee Children's Services, because it's not true at all. And I'm about truth. That's it, really. The irony is today in the UK, the police commissioner for a county in England was asked to resign by many politicians because he made a comment about a murder victim and said she should have been more streetwise. And he's under a lot of public pressure to resign just for a comment. Put that in perspective, please. It's Jennifer Nichols, stand down, go back to the DA's office and do what you're good at doing, because you're rubbish as the Commissioner for Children's Services. Your heart is not in the right place. Get remotivated to serve justice and go back to the DA's office, please. You have no place in children's services. I know how much money you're pulling in for children's services every month just through adoption alone from federal funding, and that's blood money. Your wages are blood money. Stop now. Go back to the DA's office and get your old job back. I'm sure they'll snap you up in a heartbeat. This Facebook post was posted by Stacey West on Friday the 1st of October 2021. She is the auntie to Trenton and Landon. She writes, "This is a result of a piece of shit DCS worker working to fit her pockets instead of looking out for these two children's best interests. The 2-year-old Landon was brought to daycare with all these marks back in August, and it was reported to DCS by the daycare. The 1-year-old also had marks that was reported. The workers at DCS ignored it and sent them both right back home with these foster parents. My nephew, 1-year-old Trenton Bradley Ray, is laying on his deathbed with severe brain damage because the system failed him and his brother. Still no answers, no explanation from the foster parents other than he supposedly fell on a toy. What fucking toy could do this damage? No explanation or word of Landon or where he is or if he's okay. Please share this and get this out there. People need to come together and stop these people from hurting babies like this. Our hearts are broken. These babies need prayers, and Landon needs to be home with his family. Pray Trenton fights through and lives. Please pray for them. Please pray for our family. This is so hard to swallow. I'm so furious. I want to really do damage to whoever did this." That's it from me, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. If you've watched to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. Thank you.